This podcast has been brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Help us spread the light of prophetic guidance to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Make a small donation at seekersguidance.org/donate. For as little as $10 a month, you can help people find life-changing guidance.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Believing Future. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina wa rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ala. So we are still looking at what we do when a child is born, and we'll continue where we left off last time. We were talking about the naming and some of the issues relating to naming a child and what to choose, how to choose, when to, and so on. And one thing we can do, which is when some people choose to do, is to ask someone else to name the child. Ask an elder or a pious person or grandparents or someone to choose. Perhaps you're having difficulty deciding. Ask, or just you want the blessing of someone else, making that decision. We have a hadith. Abu Usaid, when the Ansar took his newborn son to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet placed him in his lap. And the Prophet was distracted. The baby was in his lap and he was distracted with something else. And he turned his attention away from the child. In the meantime, his father Abu Usaid took the child away. The Prophet then turned his attention to the child once again, only to find that it had gone, it had been taken away. So he asked what they had named the child, and they mentioned a certain name. He said, "No, his name is, well, let his name be Al-Mundhir. Let his name be Al-Mundhir," which means the warner. So here the Prophet ﷺ said what the child's name should be, and other times the companions would come and ask for a name specifically. So something to think about, asking for a name from the shuyukh, from the ulama, from the salihin, from the pious elders. And with that, blessings come. The person's choice and their intention, that Shaykh or the person's, the pious man or the pious woman, their intention, their choice will then play a role in shaping the future of the child. And there'll be a spiritual connection, inshallah, established between the two, which will help the child in this life and the next. And another thing is to have high aspirations. We talked about before in previous sessions about intentions and what we want for our children, but also that's reflected in the choice of names. We have high aspirations. We want them to have great qualities. We want them to be like Umar ibn al-Khattab. We want them to be like Hafsa, the daughter of Umar. We want them to be like Sayyidah Aisha. We want them to be like these great people. We want them to emulate the original bearer of those names. So we should choose names which donate nobility. Some Muslims say, we don't want these old-fashioned names, and as if Khadija and Fatima are old hat. But what greater names are those than the names of the best people who ever walked the earth? The best of women, the best of men, the ones who attained perfection. Do we not want our children to have that perfection? Interestingly, Abu Talib, the Prophet's uncle, he had 4 sons. And if we look at the names, we see these aspirations that he had for them. He's Abu Talib, so his first son was Talib. And Talib is a seeker. So Talib is a seeker, someone who wants to go far and wants to find things, and wants to discover things, and wants to attain things. So that's the first one, Talib. Then 10 years later he had Aqil, his second son, Aqil, from Aql, someone who's very intelligent, someone of great intellect. Okay, so that's you don't know if the child at that time is going to be Talib or it's going to be Aqil, but you have that hope and that intention for them to be like that. And the third is Ja'far. There's 10 years between each of them. Ja'far was born. Ja'far means comes from the meaning of an animal which gives abundant milk, and milk is often a symbol for knowledge and bountiful knowledge and blessings. So Ja'far is someone who has abundant knowledge and someone also eloquence as well in terms of speech. And the final one, the youngest son, is Ali, of course, Sayyidina Ali. bin Abi Talib, and Ali is from elevated status, from nobility. So these are the four names that he chose, wanting high things for all his children: Talib, Aqil, Ja'far, and Ali. And that's even before Islam and before the message of Muhammad. He had already had those intentions for his children. There's a lesson in that for us. The Prophet would sometimes change names that had negative connotations when people were adults, or even if someone had named a child something. But usually when they're adults, they had names that had negative connotations. Umar radiallahu anhu had a daughter whose name was Asiyah, which has the meaning of being disobedient. And the Prophet renamed her Jamila, which means beautiful. There's an interesting story of the great follower Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, one of the great tabi'een. He, one of the great scholars of the tabi'een, one of the great people. He narrates that his grandfather's name was Hazan. He was a companion of the Prophet ﷺ. So Hazan goes to the Prophet ﷺ. Hazan means hard, something which is hard, which is difficult, tough. Okay, as that name. And the Arabs would often call their names, call their children names which are tough. They once asked, some of the Arabs once, why do you call your sons names which are tough and difficult, whereas you call your slaves names which are nice and positive? And they said, because we name our sons for our enemies. Our sons are for our enemies, and our slaves are for ourselves. Okay, so they named they had the tough names for their sons. Hazan, which means hard and tough. And so the Prophet said, let your name be Sahl. Let your name be Sahl, which means ease and something which is light and easy. Hazan refused. He said, you refused. I said, I'm not going to change. He's with the front of the Prophet. The Prophet is offering this change of name for something which is better. He says, no, I'm not going to change my name. I'm not going to change a name given to me by my father. So Sa'id bin Musayyib, who was narrating this, he said that as a result, that hardness and that toughness and harshness remained in the family until now. The Prophet ﷺ was offering a gift of softness and lightening things, but he kept that, and it remained in the family. And that shows the effect, again, the effect of a name. We talked before that the effect of a name can have on a whole person. It's how they turn out, and how they're not just them but their children, and also don't turn down something from the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, offer from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet used to say, in fact, when confronted with something difficult, Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta taj'al al-hazna idha shi'ta sahla. Oh Allah, there is nothing easy except that you've made easy, and if you wish, you could make even difficult things easy. He used this word hazan. So Allah, the Prophet that was his dua. He came to make things easy, but if you refuse that and want to make things difficult, then there are consequences, and it's not all bad. Obviously he had a great grandson whose name was Sa'id, the felicitous one, who became but there was that harshness and hardness that remained in the family. There's an amazing story that also narrated by Imam Malik and Muwatta, that Sayyidina Umar asked a man, and you find this about the Prophet ﷺ and the pious. They take they see a good sign in something. If someone says their name is Sa'id, they see a good sign in that, and they see something good. But this person came to Umar, and his name was Jamrah. Okay, what's your name? His name is Jamrah, which is like a burning coal, hot coal. And he says, son of what's your father's name? Son of who you're the son of? He says, Ibn Shihab, the son of a shooting star. Okay. And then where are you from? He said, min al-halqa or harqa, from a place which is burning. Okay. So his name is Jamrah. He's a burning coal, from the son of a shooting star, from a place which is burning. And you say, well, and where's that? Where's your home? He said, in perhaps Halqa was a tribe. I think from a tribe. The name's Halqa, burning. Where's the meaning of burning? Where do you live? He said, Biharra, Harrat an-nar. Harra is these kind of lava tracks they had in the desert in Medina, around Medina and other places, very black rocks, and that's how they're known. So that's where you come from, this burning, hot, burning place. And then he says, whereabouts is that? بذات اللظى. And again, this another meaning of a burning fire. He said, go back to your home, because the house is on fire. Go back and save your people. So this is something that some inspiration Umar was given, that all these names, this burning and fire and all, that pointed to something which is bad, which is happening. And the man went back and found that to be the case, and said Umar, someone the Prophet ﷺ said was given inspiration, given the ability to a kind of inspiration, ilham. إن في أمتي محدثين وإنهم عمر. He said that amongst my ummah are those people who are given this kind of inspiration. They see things, or they're inspired to say things, or things that kind of unveil to them. And Umar is one of them. So that's just an example of a name which has lots of bad connotations, and Allah protect us. And it's interesting, when Sayyidah Fatima's first son was born, Sayyidina Ali wanted to name him War. He wanted to name him Harb, War. Okay, and that reflects something about the character of Sayyidina Ali, and also the time. Sayyidina Ali was a warrior. He was someone that had fearless, tough person, but also the time they were living. It's the early days in Medina. There was constantly Medina was constantly under threat from external and even internal enemies. So there was that feeling of wanting a warrior to be born who's going to support the Prophet ﷺ, support the cause of Islam. But of course, the Prophet ﷺ named him Al-Hasan. He said no, he is not Harb. His name is Al-Hasan, the one who is beautiful, the one that has the meaning of beauty and goodness. And the same thing happened. The second son is born. Ali names him Al-Hussein. Didn't even wait for the Prophet ﷺ. Names him Al-Hussein. Ali names him Harb. And then of course the Prophet ﷺ says, no, his name is Hussein. Okay, Ali once again wants to name him Harb, wants to name him War, and he had a third son again, same thing. But the Prophet ﷺ named it Hussein, which has the meaning of beauty, but it's a diminutive in Arabic. We have diminutive, the little, the small, good one, meaning which expresses extra endearment, to him. And he had another son called Muhsin, who the same thing again from the meaning of beauty and goodness. So there are situations where names should be changed and can be changed from names which have bad connotations of worshipping other gods, or some kind of very serious connotations of in terms of belief. So names shouldn't be changed, but we have to be very sensitive, especially if someone's a convert. Often they're like, you've just become Muslim. I'll just give you a name, as if someone who's lived 20, 30 years, 40 years with a name. You're just going to who are you to choose what name they should be called? If the name has negative connotation, you can gently suggest, but by no means people should be told to change their names. And if they do, that should be their own decision. And also, different things mean different things in different languages. So the Arabs have this thing if it doesn't sound good in Arabic or have a good meaning in Arabic, it needs to change it. But in Urdu or in Turkish or in some other language, it may have a perfectly good meaning. So I have to be very sensitive to these things. And the story of one of the great Shuyukh, ulama, Habib Ahmed Mashur al-Haddad. There was a couple who were having marital problems, and the marriage wasn't going very well, and they consulted him, and he just said to the wife, she's Hafsa. Her name should be Hafsa. It's not. The name that she had at the time didn't fit. Okay, didn't fit correctly. So he named her Hafsa, and when she became Hafsa, then the marital her character changed, or the issue was resolved, and the balance was restored, and the problems disappeared. So just there are blessings, and that's someone of great insight and inspiration. We can't all claim to have that, but there's an effect on the name, as we had said at the beginning. So one thing I wanted to finish with is this what's called a kunya in Arabic. Giving a child a kunya, or giving someone a kunya. The kunya is a type of epithet. It's a name preceded by Abu or So Abu, for example, Abu Bakr or Kulthum. Okay, so you have your own name, which is Muhammad, say, but also you give the child or an adult this kunya. So you become Abu so and so Abu. The Prophet's name, so the Prophet's kunya was Abu al-Qasim. He's also known as Abu, because that was his first son, Qasim, who died in his infancy. He's known as Abu al-Qasim. So the Arabs would name or give kunya according to their first name. That was a general practice. The Prophet also was known as Abu Zahra and named after his other children. His other names, but Abu al-Qasim was his being named after his first son. So that's quite normal in the Arab world, amongst the Arabs, is to name parents being known by their firstborn son or even the daughter as well. But it's also a practice which may seem strange, but it's to give a child a kunya long before it has children of its own. It may seem a bit strange, but it's a nice practice to do that. And it gives a child a sense of importance and maturity. And the Prophet himself did this. It's a famous hadith when Anas narrates that the Prophet ﷺ said to his younger brother, Ya Abu Umair, ma fa'al al-nughayr. Abu Umair, what happened to your little bird? And so this is one statement that the scholars discussed long and hard about what many lessons learned from this. How to address young children and how to make them happy, and how to be aware of their feelings, but also to this concept of having a kunya, giving this child a kunya, calling him Abu Umair, even though he's a very young boy at that time. And the Prophet ﷺ also gave the kunya to adult companions as a sign of affection. The famous one is the companion whose real name was Abdurrahman bin Sakhr. Most people don't know that name, Abdurrahman bin Sakhr, but they know him by his kunya. And it happened the Prophet ﷺ, came across him. He was carrying a kitten in his sleeve, so the Prophet called him Abu Hurairah, the father of the kitten. Okay, the one who looks after the kitten. And of course, the name stuck, and we know him as Abu Hurairah. We very rarely mention his real name. Abu Bakr, for example, we hardly ever mention his real name, which was Abdullah bin Uthman. Another kunya the Prophet ﷺ gave was to Sayyidina Ali. So he came to Fatima's house, Fatima, and there had been a little bit of a disagreement. Ali had left the house and gone to sleep in the mosque, which is right next, very close to the house. So the Prophet went to the mosque to find him, and he was lying asleep in the mosque, and his shawl had come off, and he was all covered in dust. His back was all covered in dust. And that was how the masjid of the Prophet was. It was just no carpets, no fans, no luxury, no AC, just dust and gravel and very, very simple. So he was lying there covered in dust, and the Prophet said, "Qum ya Aba Turab, Qum ya Aba Turab, stand up, dusty one." And the Prophet wipes the dusts him down, wipes off the dust from his back, and calls him Abu Turab, dusty one, father of the dust, dusty one. And Sayyidina Ali loved this kunya, because this is how the Prophet ﷺ addressed him himself. And it's a sign of affection. It's a nice thing. So your kunya doesn't have to necessarily relate to your firstborn child. Sayyidina Ali was also Abu al-Hasan after his firstborn child, but the Prophet ﷺ called it Abu Turab. Abu Bakr wasn't the father of Bakr, nor was Abu Dhar the father of Dhar, but those names stuck. They had them early in their lives, and those names stuck. Sayyidah Aisha never had a child, never blessed with any children, but she was known as Abdullah. Abdullah after her son, her nephew, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, the son of her sister Asma. So that's just a nice little thing to think, and you could, almost for fun, you can give your child a kunya. They call her al-Fadl, Khair, whatever, or this or that, or you call your son Abu Hassan, Abu Hussein, Abu this, Abu that, and it's there. It's a sunnah. It's there in the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So inshallah, bless our children, allow us to give them the best of names, have the best of intentions for them, the highest aspirations for them, and allow them to follow in the footsteps of the great people of this ummah and in the footsteps of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wasallam.
Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by Seeker's Guidance, the Global Islamic Seminary. Visit seekersguidance.org to access reliable Islamic knowledge taught by qualified teachers. We offer a wide range of courses, podcasts, articles, and a world-class answer service. Support us in spreading free, reliable Islamic knowledge to millions around the world by becoming a monthly supporter. Visit seekersguidance.org/donate and make a small monthly commitment today. Our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever guides someone to goodness will have a similar reward." So don't forget to share this podcast and spread prophetic guidance.